The derelict drifted through the void like a metal corpse, its hull scarred by centuries of cosmic radiation and micrometeorite impacts. Captain James stood on the bridge of the human salvage vessel Pioneer, studying the ancient wreck through the viewport. His crew had found it in the outer reaches of the neutral zone, a graveyard of ships from wars long forgotten. "Sir, the readings are strange," Lieutenant Maria reported from her station. "The alloy composition doesn't match any known civilization in the galactic database." James nodded slowly. The ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of their vessel, with architecture that seemed both alien and somehow familiar. Twisted metal spires jutted from its frame like broken bones, and entire sections had been blown apart by weapons fire that left perfect spherical voids in the structure. "Take us in closer," James ordered, "and send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we found something interesting." The salvage operation took 3 days. Engineer Tom led the boarding party, moving through corridors that had been frozen in vacuum for untold years. The ship's design was unlike anything in the Galactic Council's records, organic curves meeting harsh geometric angles, as if 2 different philosophies of construction had been forcefully merged. "Captain, you need to see this." Tom's voice crackled over the comm. He stood in what appeared to be the ship's core chamber, where a massive crystalline structure pulsed with faint, dying light. "The power source is still active. After all this time, it's still running on some kind of reserve." Back on Earth's orbital shipyard, Admiral Roberts reviewed the findings with growing excitement. Humanity had only been part of the Galactic Council for 50 years, considered newcomers by species that had achieved spaceflight millennia ago. They were viewed as primitive, barely worthy of notice. But this discovery could change everything. "We're going to rebuild it," Roberts announced to the assembled engineers and scientists. "Every system, every component. We'll reverse engineer what we can and improvise what we can't." The project consumed Earth's resources for 5 years. Human ingenuity, often mocked by other species as crude and simplistic, proved to be their greatest asset. Where alien races would have given up on incompatible technologies, humans found ways to make them work. They welded Earth alloys to the alien hull, ran fiber optic cables alongside energy conduits that defied physics, and somehow made the crystalline power core respond to human control interfaces. The aliens watching from afar laughed at first. The Galactic Council's observers sent reports back to their governments about the Chi, amusing human project, comparing it to children playing with toys they didn't understand. The graceful Etherians, with their pure energy ships, found it particularly entertaining. The warrior race, known as the Dominion, dismissed it as scrap metal held together by primitive welding dot. But Tom and his team didn't care about alien mockery. They worked 18-hour shifts, solving problems that should have been impossible. When the alien navigation system wouldn't interface with human computers, they built a hybrid using quantum processors and good old-fashioned silicon chips. When the weapon systems required a type of energy humanity had never encountered, they figured out how to convert fusion reactor output into something compatible. The breakthrough came when young technician Alex accidentally discovered that the ship's core responded to human neural patterns. Not just responded, it seemed designed for them. The implications were staggering, but they pushed forward, integrating human neural interfaces with the alien technology. On the day of the first system test, representatives from 12 alien species gathered at Earth's shipyard to witness what they expected to be spectacular failure. Ambassador Krell of the Dominion had even brought recording equipment to document the human folly for entertainment across the galaxy. James, now promoted to Admiral, took command of the rebuilt vessel, christened Phoenix. As the fusion reactors came online and fed power into the crystalline core, something unexpected happened. The ship didn't just activate, it came alive. Lights blazed across its hull in patterns that made seasoned spacers step back in awe. The patchwork of human and alien technology shouldn't have worked, but it did. The galaxy was about to learn why humans, despite being newcomers, would become the most feared species in known space. Asterisk Phoenix hummed with power that made the station's deck plates vibrate. Admiral James stood at the command console, his hand hovering over the main activation switch. The alien observers had moved to what they considered a safe distance, their various forms of communication buzzing with anticipation of failure. "All stations report ready," Maria announced, now his executive officer. She tried to keep the excitement from her voice, but failed. 5 years of work came down to this moment. "Engineering, give me a status report," James commanded. Tom's voice came through clear and confident. "Fusion reactors at optimal output. The crystalline core is stable and responding to all inputs. The hybrid systems are, well, they're doing something. All readings are in the green, though I'm not entirely sure what some of these readings mean." The Etherian ambassador floated closer to the observation window, its translucent form shimmering with skepticism. "Humans cannot possibly understand the mathematics required for faster-than-light travel in such a vessel. Their minds are too limited," Ambassador Krell laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Let them try. When their ship explodes, it will serve as a lesson to all primitive species about knowing their place." James heard none of this. His focus was entirely on Phoenix. "Initialize the navigation system." The moment Alex connected his neural interface to the ship's core, everything changed. Information flooded his mind star charts spanning millions of years. Trajectories through dimensions humans hadn't discovered yet. And something else. Memories. The ship remembered its creators, a race that had vanished long before the current Galactic Council formed. "Admiral," Alex gasped, his eyes wide with revelation. "This ship, it was built by the predecessors. The first race. The ones who seeded the galaxy with life." The bridge fell silent. Even through the hull, they could feel the sudden stillness from the observation deck. The predecessors were myth, legend, the stuff of archaeological dreams and nightmares. No intact technology of theirs had ever been found until now. "Can you control it?" James asked quietly. Alex nodded slowly. "It's strange, sir. The ship, it recognizes us, like it was waiting for us specifically. The neural patterns it requires only humans have them. That's why no other species could have rebuilt it." "Prepare for system integration test," James ordered. "Tom, bring all hybrid systems online. The patchwork of human and alien technology shouldn't have worked. Earth computers duct-taped to predecessor control systems. Fusion reactors feeding power through conduits designed for energy sources humanity couldn't even name. Weapons systems jury-rigged with components from 3 different civilizations. It was, by all accounts, an impossibility, but it worked." Phoenix lifted from the dock with a grace that defied its scarred and rebuilt appearance. The gravity drives, enhanced with human modifications, operated at efficiency levels that made the Etherian ambassador's form flicker in disbelief. The ship moved like water through space, each maneuver perfect despite its asymmetrical design. "Weapons test," James announced, his voice carrying to the observation deck's communication system. The railguns were human additions, considered primitive by galactic standards. But when they fired, accelerating projectiles through magnetic fields enhanced by the predecessor technology, the results were devastating. The test asteroid didn't just fragment, it ceased to exist. Converted to its component atoms by the sheer kinetic energy of impact. Then came the energy weapons. Tom had somehow merged human laser technology with the ship's original systems. The resulting beam cut through 3 meters of reinforced battle armor in seconds. The test target provided by the overconfident Dominion. Ambassador. Krell stopped laughing. "Jump drive test," James announced. This was the real test. Faster-than-light travel, was what separated spacefaring civilizations from primitives. Humanity had basic FTL, but nothing compared to the advanced races. Alex closed his eyes, interfacing directly with the predecessor navigation system. Coordinates set for the edge of the solar system. Execute. Phoenix disappeared. Not in the flash of light common to most FTL systems, not in the space-folding elegance of Etherian drives. It simply stopped existing in one place and started existing in another. The observation deck erupted in chaos. Instruments screamed impossibilities. A ship had traveled 10 light hours in zero time, not near zero, but actual zero. When Phoenix reappeared moments later, exactly where it had been, the alien observers were silent. The humans hadn't just rebuilt a derelict. They had resurrected something that should have remained dead. And worse, they could control it. The galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk. The Galactic Council emergency session convened within hours of Phoenix's test flight. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Station Prime, their forms of agitation as varied as their biology. The humans had done the impossible, and now fear rippled through civilizations that had considered themselves superior for millennia. Admiral James stood before the assembly, flanked by Maria and Tom. The rebuilt ship floated outside the station's massive viewports, its scarred hull a testament to human determination. Alex remained aboard, permanently linked to the ship's neural interface. He claimed disconnecting. Felt like losing a part of himself. The humans must surrender this technology immediately, declared High Counselor Vex of the Collective, their unified voice carrying the weight of 1,000 minds. Such power cannot remain in the hands of a species barely out of their home system. I agree, the Etherian ambassador chimed, its form flickering with indignation. They stumbled upon something beyond their understanding. It's only responsible that mature civilizations take custody. Jane smiled, expression that didn't reach his eyes. Interesting. For 50 years, you've told us we were too primitive to matter. Our technology was quaint, our ambitions amusing. Now suddenly you want what we've built? You haven't built anything. Krell slammed his armored fist on the podium. You've cobbled together scrap like the scavengers you are. That ship is held together with welding and faith. And yet it works, Maria interjected calmly. Our primitive welding and simple solutions made a dead ship live again. While your advanced civilization studied it and declared it impossible, we made it fly. The chamber erupted in debate. The council had laws about technology sharing, about maintaining balance, but nothing covered this situation. Humanity hadn't stolen the technology. They'd earned it through sweat and ingenuity. High Counselor Vex raised their appendages for silence. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. Let us see how well your reconstruction performs against real challenges. It was a trap, and everyone knew it. The council would set impossible tasks, hoping to prove human inadequacy. But James nodded. Name your tests. The first challenge came from the Dominion, combat simulation against their finest warship. The Wrath of Stars was a kilometer-long battle cruiser, armed with weapons that had conquered 100 worlds. The battle lasted 47 seconds. Phoenix didn't fight like any ship the galaxy had seen. It disappeared and reappeared, each time landing devastating hits with its hybrid weapons. The railguns, enhanced by predecessor technology, punched through shields like they were soap bubbles. The jerry-rigged energy weapons carved surgical strikes into critical systems. When Wrath of Stars surrendered, its captain's voice shook with something the Dominion rarely felt: fear. The second test came from the Etherians. Navigate a quantum maze, a region of space where reality folded in on itself. Ships had been lost there for centuries, their crews driven mad by impossible geometries. Alex guided Phoenix through like he was born to it. The predecessor navigation system didn't just plot courses through normal space. It understood the underlying structure of reality itself. The human neural interface, that unique pattern that only their species possessed. Let Alex think in ways the ship's creators had intended. Impossible, the Etherian ambassador whispered. As Phoenix emerged from the maze in half the time it took, their best navigator. The third test was proposed by the collective. Humanitarian crisis response. A colony ship had suffered catastrophic failure in deep space, beyond the range of conventional rescue. 3,000 lives hung in the balance. Tom's hybrid engineering proved its worth. He'd installed human-designed modular systems throughout Phoenix, allowing rapid reconfiguration. Within minutes, they'd converted weapon bays to medical facilities, combat power to life support. The ship's impossible FTL let them reach the colony ship instantly. Human medics, using equipment adapted from 3 different civilizations' technologies, saved every single life. As Phoenix returned to Station Prime with the rescued colonists, the chamber fell silent. The humans hadn't just rebuilt a ship, they'd made it better. Their crude welds held where pristine joints would have failed. Their simple solutions worked where complex ones would have collapsed. You see, James addressed the assembly, his voice carrying new authority. You've spent millennia perfecting your individual technologies, becoming specialists in narrow fields. But humans? We're generalists. We adapt, we improvise. We take the impossible and make it work. Tom stepped forward. That ship out there isn't held together by welding and faith. It's held together by human stubbornness and the refusal to accept that something can't be done. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and everyone knew it. 3 months after the demonstration, Phoenix hung in orbit around Earth, while the galaxy watched nervously. The Galactic Council had tried everything: diplomatic pressure, trade sanctions, even veiled threats, but humanity wouldn't surrender their prize. Worse, other human ships were being retrofitted with insights gained from the predecessor vessel. Alex rarely left the neural interface chamber now. The ship's memories had become part of him, flooding his consciousness with images from eons past. He saw civilizations rise and fall, watched the predecessors seed life across the galaxy, and witnessed their mysterious disappearance. But tonight, something new surfaced from the ship's crystalline core. Admiral, you need to see this. Alex's voice echoed through the com, urgent and shaken. James arrived within minutes, finding his young officer surrounded by holographic displays showing star charts that predated any known civilization. What am I looking at, Alex? A message, sir. The predecessors left a message, but it only activated when enough human neural patterns integrated with the system. Alex manipulated the displays, revealing coordinates throughout the galaxy. There are more ships. Hundreds of them, all waiting. Maria studied the data, her expression growing increasingly concerned. These locations, they're all in dead zones. Areas the Galactic Council declared off-limits due to navigation hazards. That's not a coincidence, Tom said, entering the chamber with a tablet full of analysis. I've been studying the power signatures from those regions. They match our crystalline core. The Council knows those ships are there. James felt the pieces clicking together. They've been hiding them. For millennia, they've been preventing anyone from finding predecessor technology. It gets worse. Alex continued, his connection to the ship revealing more secrets. The predecessors didn't disappear. They evolved, transformed into pure energy. And they left these ships specifically for their descendants to find when they were ready. Descendants? Maria asked. Alex turned to face them, his eyes glowing faintly from prolonged neural interface exposure. Humans, Admiral. We're not newcomers to the galaxy. We're the direct genetic descendants of the predecessors. Earth was their final seeding project before transformation. They coded the ships to respond only to their own DNA patterns, evolved and adapted through millions of years. The implications were staggering. Humanity's rapid technological advancement, their ability to adapt and innovate, their unique neural patterns, it all made sense now. They weren't primitive newcomers. They were the inheritors of the galaxy's most advanced legacy. The Council knows, Tom said quietly. They have to know. That's why they've kept us marginalized, why they laughed at our primitive technology. They were hoping we'd never discover our birthright. James made a decision that would reshape galactic politics forever. Prepare a broadcast. Full spectrum, all channels. The galaxy needs to know the truth. Within hours, Phoenix transmitted Alex's findings to every inhabited system. The evidence was undeniable genetic markers, technological signatures, the ship's own memory cores confirming humanity's lineage. The reaction was instant and explosive. The Dominion mobilized their entire fleet, demanding humanity surrender all claims to predecessor technology. The Etherians retreated to their home systems, their superiority complex shattered. The collective fragmented, individual minds breaking from the whole in confusion and fear. But on Earth, something extraordinary happened. Engineers who had struggled with certain theoretical concepts suddenly understood them. Scientists made breakthrough after breakthrough. It was as if knowing their true heritage unlocked potential that had been dormant in human DNA. "Admiral, we're receiving signals," Maria reported from the bridge. "From all the marked locations. The ships, they're activating. Across the galaxy, in zones the Council had quarantined, predecessor vessels began powering up after eons of slumber. Each one unique. Each one waiting for human hands to reclaim them. The Council's worst nightmare was materializing. High Counselor Vex appeared on the main screen, their form wavering with barely controlled panic. "Admiral James, please. We can negotiate. The galaxy isn't ready for such change. You had millennia to prepare," James replied coldly. "You chose to hide the truth instead. You kept humanity in the dark about our own heritage. That ends now. You don't understand. The predecessors left for a reason. Their power corrupted them, nearly destroyed everything. We were protecting the galaxy." Alex stepped forward, his consciousness now permanently merged with Phoenix. "No, Counselor. They left because they evolved beyond physical form. But they made sure their children would have the tools to protect what they created. And we will." The age of human ascendancy had begun, and the galaxy trembled at what they had become. 1 year later, the galaxy barely resembled its former self. 27 predecessor ships now operated under human command, each one retrieved from Council-enforced dead zones and brought back to life by human ingenuity. Earth, once dismissed as a backwater planet, had become the de facto capital of a new galactic order. Admiral James stood on the bridge of Phoenix, now flagship of humanity's fleet, watching the final galactic council station surrender. The mighty Dominion, who had conquered worlds for millennia, sued for peace after their entire armada was disabled in minutes by humanity's inherited technology. The Etherians, beings of pure energy who had considered themselves evolution's pinnacle, requested alliance rather than face obsolescence. "It didn't have to be this way," Maria said softly, standing beside him. "They could have welcomed us as equals from the beginning." "Fear makes fools of us all," James replied. They were terrified of losing their position, and that fear made them create the very situation they sought to prevent. Tom's voice crackled over the come from his position on the newly recovered predecessor dreadnought Resurrection. "Admiral, we've finished retrofitting the last ship. The fusion reactors integrate perfectly with each core. Who would have thought our primitive technology would be the key to making them all work?" It was the ultimate irony. The predecessor ships required not just the right genetic patterns, but also the uniquely human approach to problem solving. Where other species saw impossibilities, humans saw puzzles. Where aliens required perfection, humans made imperfection work. Duct tape and determination had conquered technologies that had stymied the galaxy's greatest minds. Alex, now something between human and living starship, materialized on the bridge through the ship's holographic projectors. His physical body remained in the neural chamber, but his consciousness existed throughout Phoenix's systems. "The other ship's report ready, Admiral. The predecessor's full network is online." The network was perhaps the greatest discovery. When enough ships activated, they formed a connected consciousness, not controlling, but sharing. Human crews could communicate instantly across any distance, coordinate without delay, and share knowledge in real time. It was everything the collective had aspired to be, but could never achieve. High Counselor. Vex appeared on the screen for the last time in their official capacity. The collective had voted to dissolve the old council and accept humanity's proposal for a new structure. Admiral James, the galaxy acknowledges humanity's claim. The predecessor technology is yours by right of inheritance. We ... We ask only for mercy. Mercy? James almost laughed. Counselor, we're not conquerors. We never wanted to rule, we wanted to belong. You forced us to prove our worth, and we did. Now, we offer what you never gave us, genuine partnership. The new galactic structure was radically different. Instead of a council where established powers made decisions for everyone, humanity proposed a federation where each species contributed their strengths. The Etherians would share their energy manipulation knowledge. The Dominion would provide military expertise. The collective would offer their unmatched computational abilities. And humanity would share the predecessor technology with conditions. No more hidden ruins. No more suppressed discoveries. James announced to the assembled representatives on Station Prime, now retrofitted with human predecessor hybrid technology. No more keeping species in their place. Every race gets the chance to prove themselves, to contribute, to grow. Young civilizations that had been suppressed for centuries suddenly found themselves with opportunities. The aquatic depths, previously confined to their ocean worlds, received technology to explore space. The silicon, crystalline beings dismissed as geological curiosities, were recognized as sentient and given full membership. But humanity's greatest contribution wasn't the technology, it was the philosophy. Where the old council had operated on fear and control, humans brought chaos and creativity. Problems that had persisted for millennia were solved by asking, what if we tried something stupid that just might work? Alex, speaking through every human-controlled ship simultaneously, delivered the final message. The predecessors didn't leave these ships as weapons or tools of dominance. They left them as bridgeways to connect, to explore, to protect. We are their children, but so are all of you. Life in this galaxy came from them. We're all family, dysfunctional as we may be. Ambassador Krell, his warrior pride swallowed, approached James after the ceremony. I owe you an apology, Admiral. We called you scavengers, primitives. But you've shown us what we forgot in our arrogance, that innovation doesn't come from perfection, but from necessity. James clasped the alien's armored hand. We're all still learning, Ambassador. The difference is, now we're learning together. As Phoenix departed Station Prime, its scarred hull catching the light of distant stars, the galaxy watched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The humans had rebuilt a ship from ruins and terrified everyone in the process. But perhaps, in that terror, they had found the humility to build something better. The end. Asterisk.